Shalom, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to everyone. It is June 18th, and here we are in St. Louis, Missouri, to give honor unto the Most High God and His Son, Jesus Christ. Today's lesson, we're going to get right in. We're going to start with the reading of the law, and then we're going to get into the topic. Be sure to like this video, watch the entire video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and no further ado, here we go. The laws, Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men. (94) Not to eat or drink on Day of Atonement. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. And the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbaths. To rest on the first day of Passover. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 7. In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Not to do prohibited labor on the first day of Passover. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. To rest on the 7th day of Passover. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye should do no servile work therein. Not to do prohibited labor on the 7th day of Passover. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye should do no servile work therein. To rest on Shabbat, Feast of Weeks. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 21. And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day, that it may be an holy convocation unto you. Ye should do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. Not to do prohibited labor during Feast of Weeks. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 21. And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day, that it may be an holy convocation unto you. Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. To observe memorial of blowing trumpets by resting. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. To observe memorial of blowing trumpets, not to labor. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have the Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. To observe feast of tabernacles, to rest on the first day. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be in holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be in holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. To observe feast of tabernacles, not to labor. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be in holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be in holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. To observe feast of tabernacles, to rest on the 8th day. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be in holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be in holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. To observe feast of tabernacles, not to labor, on the 8th day. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be in holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be in holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Not to eat leavened food on the 14th day of Nisan, first day of Passover. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 3. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life. To destroy leavened food on the 14th day, Nisan. Exodus chapter 12, verse 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Not to eat leavened food on all 7 days of Passover. Exodus chapter 13, verse 3. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. Not to eat mixtures containing leaven all 7 days of Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 20. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. Not to see leaven in your domain all 7 days of Passover. Exodus chapter 13, verse 7. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. Not to find leaven in your domain all 7 days of Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. To eat unleavened bread on the first night of Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread unto the 21st day of the month at even. To relate the Exodus from Egypt on that night. Exodus chapter 13, verse 8. Thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. To hear the shofar on the first day of Tishri. Numbers chapter 29, verse 1. And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing trumpets unto you. To dwell in the tent for 7 days of Feast of Tabernacle. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 42. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths. To make tents for Feast of Tabernacle. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 40. And shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. Each man must give a half shekel annually. Exodus chapter 30, verse 13. This they shall give every one that passes among them that are numbered, half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs, and half shekel shall be the offering of the Lord. Courts must calculate to determine when a new month begins. Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. To afflict oneself and cry out before God in times of calamity. Numbers chapter 10, verse 9. And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. To marry a wife by means of ketubah, written thing, and kedushin. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Not to marry a whore. Not to marry a whore. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 18. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore, or the price of a dog, into the house of the Lord thy God for any vow. For even both these are abomination unto the Lord thy God. Not to withhold food, clothing, sexual relations from your wife. Exodus chapter 21, verse 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. To have children with one's wife. Genesis chapter 1 and 28. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. To issue a divorce by means of a get document. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. A man must not remarry his ex-wife after she has married someone else. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 4. Her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that she is defiled. That is abomination before the Lord. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. To perform the duty of a husband's brother. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, and the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger, her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her. To spit in the face of the brother who denies the wife of the deceased. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 9. Then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. The widow must not remarry until the ties with her brother-in-law are removed. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her. Okay, so we will start with 130 next time. We will start with 130 next time. All right. All right, Elder. So here we go. Today's topic. Today's class topic. All right. So today's topic is, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Okay. We all know what a counselor is. That's pretty basic. We know that, yes? Okay. Let me ask you all this. You believe that to be true? That there is safety when you have, when you can get consultation on a matter? Marriage, house, children, job, relocation. What do you think?
I believe so.
Believe so?
Yeah, I have to believe that.
Somewhat.
I think that somebody that does not have an emotional attachment to the situation, but in righteousness can give, good therapeutic advice.
Therapeutic advice. Okay. All right. Let's start off. I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 14. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Again, today's topic is called, "In the multitude of counselors, there is safety." Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 14.
Can you make it bigger?
Yeah. Where no counsel is, the people fall.
So the Bible tells us where there is no counsel, you're bound to fall. You left the country. You didn't counsel with nobody. This might be your end. You got married to their sister with no counsel. This marriage might end in unpleasant ways. Whatever the event is in your life. Read.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. You might be counseling with someone who lived in Mexico, and you thinking that you want to relocate to Mexico. You can speak to them, and they can say, you know what, if you're going to go there, you might want to think about going to this city. Do not go to this city. If you go there, you might want to think about taking this with you and taking that with you. Do not take this or take that with you. You might be talking with the elders about you're interested in this woman, and they say, no, she is not ready. Or they might tell you, you're not ready. You're not ready. Okay. So in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 20. And we want to read verse 5 through 11. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5 through 11.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, and verse 5. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out.
But a man of understanding will draw out that water. Read.
Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
His own goodness. And in place of that word goodness, you can put the word bounty. Bounty, kind of thinking of ownership, kind of thinking of, you have authority over, you have a right over. Go ahead.
But a faithful man, who can find?
But a faithful man, who can find? Read.
The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him.
His children are blessed after him. Read.
A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes.
Read that again.
A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes.
The king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes. Read on.
Who can say, I have made my heart clean? I am pure from my sin, Diverse ways and diverse measures, both of them are like abomination to the Lord. Diverse weights, meaning many different kind of weights. You're going to charge someone this amount, but then you're going to charge someone else that amount. Okay, read on. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. Okay, whether his work be pure or whether it be right. And verses 5 through 11 is what we're going to concentrate on today. So we're going to build our study around Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5 through 11. We're going to build our study around this. Okay, so let's go back to Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 5.
Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5.
Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 5. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water.
Counsel in the heart of man. Counsel. So write this down. Counsel in the heart. Meaning his mind, his thoughts, his thinking. The word heart. Counsel in the heart. Okay. Is like what? Read it from the top.
Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water.
It's like deep water. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water. The word heart means your mind, your thinking. Okay. So let's go to Sirach, chapter 6, verse 2. Sirach, chapter 6, verse 2. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water. Sometimes we counsel with our own self. And that can be deep waters counseling with yourself. Is it good? Is it bad? Read.
Extol not thyself in the counsel of thy own heart.
Call it again. Read.
Excuse me. The book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 2. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart.
Extol not. Let's look that word up. Let's look up the word extol. Bear with me. Let's look it up. Give me a second. I'm at the mercy of the computer. It's coming. We're going to look up the word extol. Because we will not be a congregation of ignorant Israelites. So dictionary.com, the word extol means to praise highly, loud, eulogize. Okay? To praise highly. So in other words, don't praise yourself too high. Don't give yourself too much credit. Okay? That's the only definition there. All right. Take this off board. Read it again.
The book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 2. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart.
Extol, don't praise yourself in the counsel of your own heart, in the counsel of your own thinking, in the counsel of your own mind. Oh, I got it. I know what that's bad right there. Read.
That thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone.
That thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying along. So I got some video clips to help make the point. Most of these video clips that we watch, if you go back and watch this later, the likelihood it won't be there. The likelihood I will delete this for copyright infringement purposes. We don't want to copyright. When showboating goes wrong.
Is that good?
Huh?
Is that good? No, that's gonna keep it real.
You know what's interesting though, guys? Good right hand by the man who starts out stick. In the corner, they're anxious. You understand why?
He gone. He fell going into the ring.
And just 3 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago, the vacant New South Wales state middleweight title. He's making a lot of facial gestures here. And now you're going to be able to take so much of this, I can tell you. Look at this. He's creating 6. He actually had 300 new Thai fights before he got into boxing. A couple maybe keep him up a bit. Complete sign of disrespect. Yeah, that was low. Big overhand right for it. Too many big punches. Some Muay Thai fight always. Yeah. That was the one that did all the damage. He went down hard. Yeah, no, I think you watch it. He had his arm hand across his face. You watch. He starts doing.
Okay. So, read the passage again.
This book, Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 2. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone.
Torn in pieces as a bull, right? So like as these spiders. Let me show you some more examples. This is instant karma. See that? The car went. You notice all of them are blindfold. Yeah, so they blind.
Just a couple miles. Dad, we got any Gatorade left? I am pooped. What the hell are you doing? Oh, that is refreshing. Oh, I needed that. This man actually beat his guys. All right, guys. Fun video on the way to the hospital. I can barely see. Apparently, you're not supposed to get detergent in your eyes. I don't know when we learned that in school, but I know.
She lucky you let go. Yeah, she lucky you let go.
This is the last one I'll show on this one.
That's the bus driver.
I'm not sure. So, and then I got one more. So these are obviously making foolish choices. Don't argue with idiots.
Whoa. Yeah. Oh. Stop it. That's funny. That's funny.
Okay. Read the passage one more time.
Extol not.
Call and read it.
Oh, yeah. Sirach chapter 6, verse 2. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart.
And every last one of these videos, they were extolling the counsel in their own heart, in their own mind. They were going after their own lust. The brother wanted to ride the motorcycle, reckless, not paying attention, and the cops pulled him over right there and then. The wildebeest or whatever the animal was like, you know, it's that's an alligator. No, it's a log. I'm gonna prove it. And got eaten up, right? So each one of them was some foolishness on the person's part. Read.
That thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull, straying along.
Straying along, torn to pieces, okay? Go to Proverbs chapter 18, verse 4.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 4. The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, in the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook.
And the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook. So there should be wisdom coming out of your thoughts. That's what should be coming out. Go to Proverbs 16:22.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 22. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it.
Hold on, and that's what the wellspring is. Seconds ago, I used the word wisdom. Now the passage is saying understanding. The passage is telling us understanding. Okay, read it from the top, call it, read it.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 22. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it. But the instruction of fools is folly.
But the instruction of fools is folly. You got friends with a fool, they're going to lead you to your death like the last video we watched. He clearly had a fool for a friend. And he was arguing with his foolish friend to the end. He got eaten up by the alligator. Okay. So let's look at some more of this foolishness. This foolish folly. So in this video, it's how to answer and not to answer, how to answer and not answer a fool.
Hi, this is Joseph Tan here from GoodMonday.com. Today we're going to talk about the interesting subject of how to answer, and maybe sometimes do not answer, a fool. Let's begin with the definition of a fool. Now, a fool, contrary to popular belief, is not someone who is unwise. In fact, the fool wants to be a wise person.
So notice he said that a fool is not necessarily a person that is unwise, unlearned. The question is, what are they learned in?
The issue is the standard of his wisdom. By what standard is he measuring his wisdom? The answer is simple. He uses he himself as a standard. So a fool is someone who is wise in his own eyes. He himself defines what is right. He himself defines what is wrong. He will tell you what goes and he will tell you what doesn't go. He then is the measure of all things. Everything around him must be interpreted according to his liking and to his preference, regardless of the environment and what other people do. That is the definition of a fool. When confronted with a fool, you have got two options. One is do not answer him. The second is you do answer him.
So from this guy, remember we said the topic of this class is that in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. That's the topic. So here we are. We're listening to an individual provide us with some counsel. And he told us, so he gave us first and foremost, he gave us definition of a fool. And he's telling us, you got two choices: answer the fool or not answer the fool, right? So take some notes, because we're here we are, we're listening to some consultation. Answer, not answer. Continuing on.
So what is the situation where you tell yourself not to answer him, and what situation you do need to give a response? Here we go. Situation number one, you do not answer a fool. Meaning, when you see his misbehavior, when you see his selfish conduct, when you see him blaming and giving excuse, you do not engage in a debate, nor do you want to waste time trying to give him an answer. Why?
So listen to what this man said, and these are some biblical things. These are things that we can find in our Bible.
When you see his answer, meaning when you see his misbehavior, when you see his selfish conduct, when you see him blaming and giving excuse, you do not engage in a debate, nor do you want to waste time trying to give him an answer. Why? This is because he has already made up his mind, and no iota of effort and reasoning from you is going to change his mind. In fact, this particular person.
So when this person is in this mindset, his mind is made up. So why go back and forth with him? Let him be. Let him be. The Bible tells us, go to Jude. No, not Jude. Go to Titus. Titus chapter 3, verse 10. Titus chapter 3, verse 10.
This is the book of Titus, chapter 3, and verse 10. A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject.
The Bible tells us a man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject. Here you're having a conversation with a friend, family member, spouse, whatever the dynamic of the relationship, business partner, whatever the dynamic is. And you're trying to instruct them in wisdom. they reject it. They bring forth some kind of excuse, argument. You can plainly see that they're not listening. They're not trying to have an open dialogue. So you try at first once. You try at second twice. After that, the Bible tells you, walk away. Leave it alone. Let it be. Okay? Back to this video.
Is so set in his ways, he can even logically argue his way out of almost any situation. And if you were to attempt to argue with him, you are on the losing end, because his point of reference is not your wisdom or your advice. His point of reference is himself. The danger is this.
So notice it said that coming from this guy's point of view, his reference. So if the two of you, if your reference don't align, what does the scripture tell us? I didn't write this down. Go to 1 Corinthians. I think it's 1 Corinthians. It's either 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 6 and 14.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. The two of you are coming from two reference points. So I spoke about this several classes ago, and I would put the Bible to the camera and so forth as I was making my argument, making my point, saying that, I would put the Bible up to the camera and say, this is our frame of reference. Because if I'm having a discussion with someone whose frame of reference is the Quran, then how can, in his eyes, he's right. In my eyes, I'm right. So how can we come together? How can we argue one with another? If I'm speaking with a murderer and his laws say that, well, we kill, this is gang initiation. To get into the gang, you gotta kill someone to get into the gang. If that's the code, the moral code, then that completely goes against our moral code, because our moral code tells us thou shalt not kill. Right? So here we go, back to the video.
Continue to engage with him on the losing end, because his point of reference is not your wisdom or your advice. His point of reference is himself. The danger is this: if you continue to engage with him in argument and try to answer him logically from your point of view when he is so locked up in his stubborn perspective, what happens is that you are actually playing his game. And in the final analysis, you end up being just like him. The fact of the matter is, by trying to answer this fool who have already made up his mind, you might end up being one, because you are so mashed up in playing the game according to his rules. So the best thing for you to do is walk away and don't answer this fool.
Okay.
However, there will be a situation when you need to engage and provide answer to a certain type of a fool. This is the second situation. Let me explain. The foolishness that comes from this person is due not so much to stubbornness, but due to simple-mindedness. He could be misbehaving and showing certain lousy attitude because of bad influence. Or it could come about due to certain wrong thinking about life and about himself or the people around him. Or he could have been following a lousy advice that he received.
So simple-mindedness is simply saying that this individual lacks information, lacks understanding. You know, so this is not, this is one that may have the propensity to sit down and listen. The other one, he's not going to sit down and listen. He's too stubborn to sit down and listen. This one here, he listens to the reasoning, to the rational, to see where he is out of sync with reality.
And he didn't know about it. There's one important telltale sign of this situation where you do need to answer a fool. He is facing certain pain in his life. He is experiencing certain consequences due to his foolish action. And there is a tinge of motivation and commitment of wanting to come out of these painful consequences. Then this is where you come in to provide an answer, you see. You're providing an answer not to belittle him. You are providing him with an answer on how to overcome the pain in the consequences and in the situation he is facing that comes as a result of either the bad influence, wrong thinking, or lousy advice that he has been holding on to. So what you need to do is to engage him by providing answers that is relevant to the pain that he is facing. Answers that are based on the truth, on unchanging life principles. Answers that are based on verifiable experiences. And also answers that are based on right moral standards. You see, you are providing answers not so that you can look good.
So let's go to Jude, book of Jude, and go to let's start at verse 19. This is still in context with what this man is talking about.
This is the book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 19. These be they who separate themselves sensual, having not the Spirit, but ye love, building up yourselves on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Ghost.
So you're going to have individuals that will depart. They will depart. Why? Because they're sensual, having not the Spirit. They don't have the understanding. They don't have the spirit of long suffering. They don't have the spirit. Let's show the Spirit. Hold on to Jude. Hold on to Jude. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 13.
This is the book of 1
And
Corinthians.
start at verse 4.
Okay. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 4. Charity long suffereth long.
That word charity is, if we go to the ESV, it's translated to love. Okay. Go ahead, read.
Charity suffereth long.
Bible says that charity suffereth long. Suffereth long. Suffereth long. Charity, it suffereth for a long time. Meaning I put up with this SH for a long time. Read.
And is kind.
And it's kind. So in spite of, charity is still going to be kind-hearted. Right? Read.
Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself.
Charity vaunteth not itself, or meaning It's not rash. It's not rash. Read.
Charity vaunted not itself, is not puffed up. Doth not behave itself unseemly.
Okay.
Seeketh not her own.
Seeketh not her own.
Is not easily provoked.
Look at that. That goes right back to the first thing, suffering long. Read.
Thinketh no evil.
Thinketh no evil. In other words, you're not sitting there saying, I know why they did this. I know why. The Bible calls it evil surmising. I know why they did this. And you get lost in your own mind thinking the worst of those that are close to you, or those relationships. It could be a close member, it could be business, it could be what have you. Read.
Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth.
So it doesn't rejoice in that's what they get. I was trying to tell them that's what they get. Read.
Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things.
Endureth all things. This is what charity will cause you to endure all things. Read.
Charity never faileth.
Charity never faileth.
But whether there be prophecies.
That's it. So back to Jude and verse 19, it says, these be they who separate themselves, sensual, having not the Spirit. So they don't have the Spirit. They don't have that charity. So they separate themselves. Read 20.
But ye, beloved, building up yourselves on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Ghost. Keep yourselves in the love of God, looking for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ unto eternal life.
So with some individuals, we talk very peaceful, very calm, very rational to try to win them to Christ, to try to win them from death and destruction. Read.
And of some have compassion, making a difference.
That's what I just said. Read on.
And others save with fear.
And others save with fear. Which is this one here. This one right here. Save them with fear. Because they going off so tough, you got to save them with fear. Read on.
Pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh.
Hating even the garment spotted by flesh. So guess what? You might call this individual out their name. You might blow up at this individual. You might speak and you might get out the Spirit when you speak to this individual. If you get out the Spirit, you be sure to apologize for coming out the Spirit. And because your aim, when you came out the Spirit, your goal was to save them from the fire because of their lack of understanding, because of their simple-mindedness. Okay. All right. Let's watch one more video. This video is with how to argue with a fool. How to argue with someone who won't listen. It's the name of this video. How to argue with someone who won't listen. Before we read this, let me show you a scripture. Go to 1 Peter's. And specifically, this is to the women. You got a husband. who won't listen. How should you argue with him? He won't listen. Go to 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1.
This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
Be in subjection to your own husbands, okay?
That if any obey not the word,
he is stubborn. He won't listen. Read.
They also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
So when he is being this way, how you're going to win is through silence. Through silence. Is it just silence? Silence is one of the actions. Read on.
While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear.
While they behold your chaste, silent conversation coupled with fear. See, you're being obedient. You're being obedient to the commandment. So you're still showing yourself as a righteous individual. Read.
Whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair.
Now, verse 3, Peter is continuing to make his point by saying, hey, listen, yeah, you're going to make yourself look beautiful outwardly, but moreover, make yourself look gorgeous inwardly, because that chaste conversation coupled with fear is going to cause him to bethink himself. Okay, here we go with this video.
It seems to be harder than ever to get through to people logically. In fact, some of the smartest people have the most sophisticated psychological booby traps when it comes to heated subjects. So in this video, we are going to break down why sometimes people won't listen to reason even when they're smart. And finally get through to people so that they see the light. The first thing you need to realize is that people can fall into a pit that makes them impervious to reasoned argument. What pushes them into that pit is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the state of having thoughts, actions, beliefs, or desires that are...
Write that down. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. The state of having thoughts, actions, beliefs, or desires that are inconsistent with one another. Cognitive dissonance, the state of having thoughts, actions, beliefs, or desires that are inconsistent with one another. Okay. We're going to carry on.
Are inconsistent with one another. The classic example is someone who smokes, knows that smoking kills, yet says that they want to live a long, healthy life. Their beliefs and their actions don't seem to match up. Now, having one...
So, as he just said, you're a smoker, you say, oh, I want to live forever. But you smoking, you read the information that nicotine and all other kind of smoking paraphernalia is harsh on your lungs, on your health, but yet you continue to do it. There's cognitive dissonance. There's cognitive dissonance going on.
One's own cognitive dissonance pointed out is uncomfortable. That's because there's often an unspoken filter. The classic example is someone who smokes, knows that smoking kills, yet says that they want to live a long, healthy life. Their beliefs and their actions don't seem to match up. Now, having one's own cognitive dissonance pointed out is uncomfortable. That's because there's often an unspoken cost to changing certain actions or opinions. In this case,
you get that. When you, the speaker, you point out the other person's cognitive dissonance. In other words, if you call them to be a hypocrite, that's really what you're doing. You calling them out, saying that, well, you're a hypocrite, right? Your actions is that of a hypocrite. It causes them to feel uncomfortable. Okay.
Stopping smoking would lead to painful withdrawals. So the most common way that people make cognitive dissonance more bearable is by sneakily changing another thought or action, even if that one makes them irrational. That means that our smoker who can't quit only has irrational paths out of cognitive dissonance. They may point to individuals who smoked without consequence, insist that they have the healthiest genes, or say that they don't care if they die early, even when they really do.
So they're still making excuses, right? They're going to continue to justify the bad behavior, and yet at the same time profess their desire, which is inherently contradictory to the behavior. I want to live forever, but you're smoking. The two don't agree. Okay.
The big takeaway is that sometimes, especially in politics, religion, or emotional life choices, the most ridiculous belief that we have is the one that is most difficult to change. That is why smart people cling to silly positions. It's also why it's critical that you recognize cognitive dissonance if you're ever going to get through to those people. Because the worst thing that you can do in moments where people are deep in a cognitive dissonance shutdown is to continue with logical argument. That will just drive them deeper.
So you can't use logical arguments with these individuals. You got to use some other tactics. Using logical arguments is back to the first video that we looked at, and you're going to make yourself out to be the very thing that you, as the person you're arguing with, a fool. You can make.
So do you just ask questions in this?
He's gonna give some. Remember, so today's topic is, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Now, of course, these counselors that we're listening to, these are counselors coming from a world perspective. Yeah, but some of these things can still be applicable in our text, our biblical text.
Into irrationality. So here are 7 tells argument that will just drive them deeper into irrationality. So here are 7 tells that someone is going into a cognitive dissonance shutdown, and you need to tread carefully. Keep in mind that none of these are perfect indicators.
So let's go back and take a look at the 7.
Shutdown, and
so being blank by new information without, he's gonna fill all this in for us. Okay, he's gonna fill all the blanks in for us.
And you need to tread carefully. Keep in mind that none of these are perfect indicators. There are times when each tell is entirely reasonable. But if you see several tells, it's likely you're encountering cognitive dissonance. Also, my intent here is not to make fun of the people in these examples, just to learn from them, because we all get caught up in cognitive dissonance from time to time. So the first indicator is being stunned by new information.
Being stunned by new, and write that down, being stunned by new information without adjusting perspective. If you see a person being stunned by new information without adjusting their perspective, it is perhaps you're dealing with a person who is dealing with cognitive dissonance. You're dealing with the person, and they present themselves as being stunned by new information. You come with information, data, resources, what have you, research. But after you give them the information, they still don't change their perspective. And you're thinking to yourself, clearly it says this. That's what you're thinking to yourself, but they maintain their position. Let's listen.
Information without conceding or adjusting your perspective. Take, for example, Kathy Newman, after she had asked Jordan Peterson about why he feels that he has the right to offend people in their pursuit of truth.
You're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. Exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me.
You haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah. It took a while.
It did.
When someone is stunned, it means that
So Jordan Peterson arguing with her caught her off guard. She's trying to come up with a logical justification, to her position. And she's unable to quickly come up with one. So, he says, got you. Caught you off guard, huh? Okay.
It's that they encounter surprising new information, and to not adjust one's perspective based on that new information can point towards cognitive dissonance. But I repeat that alone is not enough on its own, which is why you should pay attention for number 2, being unable to accurately summarize the other side's perspective. Pay attention for number 2, being unable.
So, the second thing that you'll observe in the person's behavior, actions, is that they inaccurately summarize the other side's perspective.
Based on that new information can point towards cognitive dissonance. But I repeat that alone is not enough on its own, which is why you should pay attention for number 2, being unable to accurately summarize the other side's perspective. And this is often preceded by, so you're saying.
You're saying that trans activists, but you're saying, right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, so you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
We see that.
And so, and a lot of times in a discussion, if you're having an honest discussion, you should be able to say to the person you're having a conversation with, okay, so what am I saying? What am I saying? To allow them to say, to demonstrate that they're listening and they understand your perspective. Because even there, once they have clearly demonstrated that they understand your perspective, now, okay, if we need to debate, we can debate, because you clearly understand from what angle I'm coming from. Do you agree with the angle? Do you disagree with the angle? Are you on board with the angle? Are you against the position that I hold? What's your position now? Okay.
To accurately summarize the other side's perspective. And this is often preceded by, so you're saying.
You're saying that trans activists, but you're saying, right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, so you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
We see Ben Affleck do this in his conversation with Sam Harris when Sam is critical of aspects of the doctrine of Islam.
We have been sold this meme of Islamophobia, where every criticism of the doctrine of Islam gets conflated with bigotry toward Muslims as people.
Right. And you're saying that Islamophobia is not a real thing.
Now, this needs to be contrasted with summarizing the other side's perspective in a way that genuinely attempts to portray them in their own words. This is to be encouraged, and you can see Jon Stewart do it here with Bill O'Reilly.
Let me go to a different point, if I may. It sounds like what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to be wrong when I'm with you, because I got mad love for you. That's a rap phrase.
I got it. The third tell is mind reading the other side's intent, especially when the intent is presumed to be.
So the third part, misreading nefarious intent of the opposing side. I just used another term for this seconds ago when I said evil surmising. Meaning I'm thinking ill of your perspective instead of being open to hear what your perspective is. And if you share out your perspective, I take it for what it's worth.
Oh, what's the word you said? Evil surmising?
Evil surmising.
EVIO.
Surmise. SURMISE. Okay.
Because I got mad love. That's a rap phrase. I got it.
The third tell is mind reading the other side's intent, especially when the intent is presumed to be nefarious. Ben Shapiro made this mistake in his conversation with Andrew Neil, assuming that Andrew must be on the left because he asked him pointed questions. Ben continued to disbelieve Andrew even when Andrew had indicated that Ben had misread his intent.
You as a journalist are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left? Is it so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest? Seriously, it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it. So let's move on. Would you vote for
It's pretty
Mr.
evident from your own questions exactly what you are saying.
Trump?
The fourth tell is
Begin today.
So he demonstrated himself to be a fool, and the older gentleman told him, he said, let's move on, because so the older gentleman in that first video that we watched, the older gentleman is like, I'm not even going to engage your foolishness. Let's carry on. So I haven't seen that video, but from the gist of this, apparently Ben Shapiro made some claims that unfounded, untrue about the guy he's discussing with, and so that causes Ben Shapiro to be in the wrong. You understand? Okay.
With a rather shocking event last premiere.
This is a commercial.
You how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it. So let's move on. Would you vote for
It's
Mr.
pretty evident from your
Would
own
you
questions
vote for
exactly what you
Mr.
are saying.
Trump?
the fourth tell is regularly moving goalposts.
Regularly moving the goalposts. In other words, we're talking about A, whatever A is. We're talking about that. And we're thinking we're making some headway in the discussion. Like, again, it might be relocation. We might think that we're making some headway on this discussion. Then all of a sudden, the one who doesn't want to go along with the move will change the goalposts, will change the objective. But why not? Let's just stay here. They'll change the goalposts. So you'll find that when you're discussing with people, you know, they're changing the goalposts. They're not staying on topic. Likelihood, this is a person with cognitive dissonance. Okay.
Questions exactly what you are.
The fourth tell is regularly moving goalposts. It's of course okay to clarify your position, but if you notice that someone is regularly adjusting the criteria by which they judge an argument, you're likely witnessing cognitive dissonance. For context, in this next clip, Stewart and O'Reilly are arguing whether it reflects poorly that Barack Obama had Common to the White House, given that Common has defended someone accused of killing a police officer. Jon Stewart points out that Springsteen, Bono, and Bob Dylan also did the same thing, and we get this exchange.
Oh, wait, let me reply. Okay, so you say that because Bono, Springsteen, and Bob Dylan wrote songs defending people who were accused of heinous things,
Yes.
that I have to give Common a pass.
No.
Because he did the same thing.
You have to be consistent with your outrage.
Let me give you.
Be consistent.
I will. Common visited, went to see.
The fifth tell is
So Bill O'Reilly is against President Barack Obama for having Common come, but yet he was on board with those other artists coming. So he's changed his criteria for what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. He changed the goalposts. Okay. Cognitive dissonance is seen here with Pat O'Reilly. Okay.
is yelling or getting angry, especially self-righteous anger.
Yelling or getting angry. Yelling or getting angry. And notice he said, especially if it's harnessed by self-righteousness. If it's harnessed by self-righteousness, there's, you know, an air of self-righteousness in the yelling and anger demonstration.
anger. And you just saw it with Bill O'Reilly a bit, but here's another example from Ben Affleck and Sam Harris. For context, while Ben does make good points that most Muslims are good human beings, he's not responding to Sam's criticisms at all. You can hear Sam try to explain his actual position, but he can't get through because of the yelling.
More than 1 billion people who are fanatical, who don't understand it, who just want to go to school. Wait a second. Don't do any of the things we're saying all Muslims. Wait a second. Wait a second. And you're paying the whole group religion with that. No. What's
the sixth tell of cognitive?
Like, how many times have you seen that? There's the yelling, the over talking. The dude is like, "Hey, can I make my point? Can I make my point?"
And they start clapping because they see him getting amped and passionate and not actually looking at the point of view.
Right. So there's very minimum listening occurring, okay? Or intentional, like Ben Affleck might be listening very close to what the guy is saying, but is refusing to demonstrate that he's listening and utilizing this yelling, this passion to be the overwhelming display of behavior.
Cognitive dissonance is attacking someone's character instead of
attacking a person's character instead of their argument. Classic. So now we're going to talk about you. We're going to slander. We're going to talk about you wearing these fringes and head wrap and so on and so forth and keeping the Sabbath day. We're going to talk about you instead of listening to the argument. Why y'all go to church on Saturday? We're going to talk bad about you instead of listening to the biblical text. Okay?
Addressing their arguments, and it's often a sign in light of a losing argument. This is a last resort.
You are, in terms of your group identity.
You're just saying things so to provoke, aren't you? I mean, you are a provocateur.
I never said
you're like the old right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
And 7 is retreating.
You see what she did? She started flipping it.
Someone's character instead of addressing their arguments. And it's often a sign in light of a losing argument. This is a last resort.
Notice how calm and collect he is, full of confidence, right?
In terms of your group identity.
You're just saying things so to provoke, aren't you?
You're just saying things to provoke, aren't you? And she has a microphone on, she's on camera, so she has to keep her body language from going over the top, right? Because she don't want to hear the producer say cut, so she has to show some decorum. But she starts attacking.
You are a provocateur. I never said
you are a provocateur, meaning you are one that provokes. You're provoking. That's your whole intent is to provoke drama. That's what she's arguing instead of staying on the argument that he is bringing to the table.
Like the old right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
And 7 is retreating from a point without any.
Retreating from a point without any concession. You make no agreement, no disagreement. You just move on. You sweep it under the rug as though it never happened.
Any concession. This is the least of the way, since there's often good reasons to move on in an argument, but it should be noted nonetheless, especially if someone retreats rather hastily to move along.
You don't set out
now and then. I'm not interested in provoking.
But what about the thing about, fighting and the lobster? Tell us about the lobster.
So quick diverge. Tell us about the lobster. Let's go on to the next topic.
Well, that's quite a segue.
If you see 2, 3,
You can close it out,
yeah, he was hip to it, right?
or more of these signs, stop debating. Stop with logical arguments because they will not get you anywhere. You are in the midst of dangerous cognitive dissonance.
Which is that you're dealing with that first person. Don't argue with them. After the first, second admonition, reject.
Instead, your first order of business should be to re-establish rapport with the person you're communicating with. We've covered this at length in our videos on Crowder and Trevor Noah, which I'll link to for a thorough breakdown of rapport. But for the fastest effect, mid-conversation, crack a joke that does not insult the other side, like this.
This is kind of fun, though, is it not?
Yeah, it's
And my frustration is not, again, it's watching the entire system.
I know. You load the network, but you kind of load me a little.
So attempt to create a peaceful atmosphere.
Relief.
Yeah. Comic use. So you're right. So he's saying using jokes is a way to it's so you're almost doing the number 7. You are almost doing number 7, but you're using this tactic to bring things back and to mellow out and say, to try to show I'm not against you. Let's be cordial. Let's not blow up, and then possibly we can get back on the debate, the argument.
Less. I got it.
No, I don't even
Let's talk politics.
I actually enjoy your company. I feel like we should get together outside of this weirdly egg-shaped table.
Good-natured jokes are especially effective because cognitive dissonance is like a shell that prevents new information from coming in. As long as you are perceived as a threat, the other person's shell will stay up. But if you signal that you're not a threat by making someone laugh, they will feel safe enough to finally open back up. Once the other side has opened back up, you're going to have to employ 3 counterintuitive.
So using jokes, you might use singing, something that breaks the monotony. Okay, jokes, singing, dancing, magic trick. Something that creates peace. The third thing, into changing the mindset, here we go.
Intuitive mindsets and to get them to listen. First, demonstrate no superiority if they switch to your side. Listen. First,
demonstrate no superiority if they come to your side. In other words, be humble. Wives, be humble. You won your husband. You were just reading this passage last night. Lo and behold, your husband comes to the door and he's wrong. You know it. But you got to be peaceful. Because you're gonna show. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation. So you're gonna do your wifely thing, and then when he comes to his senses, you're gonna be humble. You're gonna be humble. Brothers to brothers, you're gonna be humble. Okay.
Demonstrate no superiority if they switch to your side. When you rub winning an argument in people's faces, they will slip back into cognitive dissonance. If your aim is to change someone's mind, you need to resist the urge to do things like this.
You talk a lot about the Pareto distribution, yes? That doesn't mean I defend it. Well, okay. No, not well, yes. Okay. Yes.
Second, do not things like this.
You talk a lot about the Pareto distribution, yes? That doesn't mean I defend it. Well, okay. No, not well, yes. Okay. Yes.
Second, do not force people to
immediately live out their values. Do not force people. That goes back to what we just read in Corinthians. Charity does not behave itself. Let's read it again. It says, doesn't insist its own way. First Corinthians 13 again. You get to it before I get to it. Go ahead and read it. You know what I want.
Wait.
Does not insist its own way. Read. We can. It must be. Let me know. You know what? I know where I'm saying that. Bear with me. Because it said it here. I'll show you. It's another version. My memory of it is another version. Okay, so here is not boast, not proud, not rude, easily angered, with all things. Let's get verse 4. Bear with me. If you all ever, have you all been to Bible Hub before? No. When this is a good to use.
If you look up scripture, this will pop up. Because like if you don't take the Bible, will pop up.
Okay. Yeah. And so that was popped up. Does not write arrogant. Trying to call now. Envy is wanted. No. Sad down. Anyway.
Immediately live out their new values. Our hypothetical smoker is going to have a really hard time conceding that smoking is ruining their health if they're forced to quit cold turkey in that same breath. So you need to allow people space to separate honesty from integrity. Third, do not hold past inconsistencies against people. People have a strong breath, so you need to allow people.
So this one's straightforward. Folks need time. Folks need time. Some, and every last one of us, there is going to be that moment in this walk where a scripture, we come here every single week. You should be studying throughout the week, and you read something that jack you up. You know, it'll, that scripture jack you up, and you're like, dang, oh, I gotta stop that. But in some of these things I gotta stop, you stop cold turkey. Cold turkey, you wearing fringes. Cold turkey, you're no longer eating pork. However, you having a struggle letting evil surmising go. You know, always thinking ill of the folks around you. You have a hard time letting that go. You find yourself guilty of that. And it might take you 3 months, 6 months, but you got to constantly be working on it. You got to constantly be praying, you know, to be delivered of that thing. Okay, so let's go back.
Space to separate honesty from integrity. Third, do not hold past inconsistencies against people.
Do not hold past the past failures
from integrity. Third,
don't hold their past failures, inconsistencies. Don't hold their past failures against them. Because the whole objective is you're trying to win them over. And so if you point out, you know, you still ain't did this, that might cause them to say, maybe I ain't good enough. I ain't get it yet. Yeah. Might as well keep doing this. Or if you're already dealing with a stubborn spirit, right. You're gonna cause them to be more stubborn. So you don't want to bring that up. Okay.
Hold past inconsistencies against people. People have a strong desire to defend things that they've said and done in the past. So when you bring up those inconsistencies, it can drive them to abandon the new belief that they're trying out just so that they can remain consistent with their past selves.
So you're dealing with a person that's stubborn, they're gonna double down. They know they're wrong. They know that they're wrong. But you bringing it up, you cause them to double down. Even in their, really, you're driving them to their own destruction, their own demise.
But all this stuff is only so much if you use it just with conversation with others. Because the most dangerous cognitive dissonance you will ever encounter is your own. Your cognitive dissonance is what makes you the smart person with some dumb opinions. And we all have some. Now, admittedly, spotting cognitive dissonance in yourself is harder, though the 7 tells can tip you off if you have super high self-awareness.
Okay, so here are the 7 are. These are, if you see these behaviors in someone or in yourself, it's most likely you or that individual is dealing with cognitive dissonance. Being stunned by new information without adjusting perspective, inaccurately summarizing the other side's perspective, misreading nefarious intent of the opposing side, regularly moving the goalposts, yelling or getting angry, attacking person's character instead of their argument, retreating from a point without any concession.
And the solution of allowing yourself to crack a joke, forgive your past inconsistencies, will help you move through cognitive dissonance gracefully. But there is one more piece that helps the most with your own person. And it's when you feel yourself losing track of an argument, you start to raise your voice, or you just get the sense that you're trying to win instead of learn or communicate, connect with your body. Literally, look down downward into your chest, placing a hand on your heart or belly, and take a deep breath.
Woosah. It's really what he's telling you to do. Have a woosah moment. Have a woosah moment.
Cognitive dissonance often feels like panic if you tune into it, which is why people enter fight or flight in those arguments. But when you slow down and you pay attention, you'll find that you're actually just having a discussion and exploring a perspective that may be more in line with reality, and your sense of logic will start to come back to you. Now, if you can do this in real time, you won't just be part of the solution to communication breakdowns, which is amazing in and of itself. You will see things that other people cannot see. You'll take your ego blinders off and be better prepared to succeed in politics, relationships, work, or life. If you don't do this, you'll find yourself in a near perpetual state of shock and outrage when the world doesn't match your predefined expectations, and worse, you'll be poorly equipped to do anything to improve it. Thanks to our sponsor for this video.
Okay. And all right, go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. First Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. This is still, before you read that, just if you've already turned to the page, 1 Corinthians 2:11, keep your hand there. Go back to Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 5. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water.
Counsel in the heart of man. Right? That was the talking point that we were on this entire time. Counsel in the heart. Read on.
But a man of understanding will draw it out.
Okay. So we're still with this counsel in the heart of man. Counsel in the heart, So 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11.
1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of man which is in him.
Saving the spirit of man which is in him. What man knoweth the things of a man? How do you know what's in another person? How do you even know what's in you? Read.
Even so the things of God knoweth no man.
Even so the things of God knoweth, no man knows the things of God. No man knoweth the things of God. Read.
But the Spirit of God.
But the Spirit of God. That's what knows the things of God. So in other words, in order to know God, you must have the Spirit within you. You must have the Spirit within you. Okay. Go to Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things.
The heart is deceitful above all things. The mind is deceitful above all things. The heart, the mind, these are interchangeable words. Read.
And desperately wicked. Who can know?
Who can know it? Who can know it? Today, you holy and righteous, living in the commandments. Tomorrow, you wicked as all get out. Who can know the mind and its fluctuations, its flippantness? This way today, that way tomorrow. Yesterday, she made you a glass of lemonade. Today, she told you, I ain't making you nothing. Better go in there and get you some water, you thirsty. Matter of fact, why don't you drink the water out the water hole? Because she angry with you. Right? Go to Job chapter 15, verse 14 through 16.
Job 13.
Job chapter 15, verse 14 through 16.
This is the book of Job, chapter 15 and verse 14. What is a man that he should be clean?
What is man that he should be clean? Read.
And he which is born of a woman, that he should be righteous. Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. How much more abominable and filthy is man?
How much more abominable and filthy is man? Read.
Which drinketh iniquity like water.
You drink it like a tall glass of water. Iniquity. That's your behavior. You flip it. Today you're righteous. Tomorrow you're wicked. This week you're righteous. Next month you're wicked. These 6 months you're righteous. The next year and a half you're wicked. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay. Go to Psalms chapter 53, verse 1 through 3.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 53 and verse 1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good.
There is none that doeth good.
God looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek God. Every one of them is gone back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good. No, not one.
Not one. So when you thought there was one pursuing righteousness, didn't turn back around and went after wickedness, pursued iniquity. So no, there is none, not one. Okay, go to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 26.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 28 and verse 26. He that trusteth in his own heart.
He that trusteth in his own mind, in his own thoughts, in his own thinking.
Is a fool.
You a fool.
But whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered.
But whoso walketh wisely shall be delivered. Walk according to the scriptures. Walk according to the text, to the commandments, to the laws. Research and study, seek. You troubled on this decision, on this choice? What do the scriptures say? Go to James chapter 1, verse 14 through 15. James chapter 1, verse 14 through 15.
This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 15. Then we lust hath conceived.
James chapter 1, verse 14.
Oh, I'm one down. Sorry about that. James chapter 1 and verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and incited.
And enticed.
Enticed.
Okay, so when you are, when that lust comes before you, guess what? That's when you're drawn. That's when you're enticed. And the lust can be anything. It can be anything. It's a beautiful day. The weather is nice. And I want to go wash the car. Today is a lovely day to go wash the car. Today is the Sabbath day. Your lust is to enjoy yourself and go wash the car. What are you going to do? Are you going to lean to your own thoughts and understanding? Or are you going to lean on the commandment? The Bible says, don't forsake the Sabbath day. What are you going to do? So lust is not just that between a man and a woman. Lust is anything. Read on.
Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
But when you give way to that lust, now here comes death. Here comes death. Bible tells us not to practice, not to be a glutton. But there's that piece of cake.
They all right on me. But now you want me to go get him. He said, can you take him home? I'll be back.
What was I saying? Oh, there's that piece of cake. There's that piece of cake. And there you are. And you know, I already had your limit of sugar intake. So now you're dealing with blood pressure issues. Now you're dealing with obesity issues. Okay, read on.
Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above.
Okay, that's it. Go to Hebrews chapter 3, verse 12.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 3 and verse 12. Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief, and departing from the living God.
And departing from the living God. Read that again.
Take heed, brethren.
Take heed. Take heed. Because every last one of us is susceptible to departing from this truth. Every last one of us. Read it from the top.
Take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief.
An evil heart of unbelief. Nah, I can eat this one piece of cake. I'll be all right. Nah, I can wash my car today. It'll be okay. Nah, I can hit this pipe just one more time. Okay. All right. Go to Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 6.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 6. Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness.
Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness. And for the word goodness, write down the word bounty. B-O-U-N-T-Y, bounty. Okay? His own bounty. Servant, possession, bounty. Go ahead, read.
Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find.
A faithful man who can find. So let's deal with this. Most men will proclaim. Write down the word proclaim. Most men will proclaim. Most men will proclaim. Go to Proverbs chapter 25, verse 14.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25 and verse 14. Who boasteth himself of a false gift?
Whoso boasteth himself. Read again.
Whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain.
Whoso brags on himself of a false gift. I'm it. I'm gonna get this, but put your money on me. So on and so forth. Okay. It is like clouds and wind without rain. Look at those clouds. Ooh, it's gonna rain. 36 hours and past, there is no rain. There is no rain. The ground is dry. The harvest is thirsty. Okay. Go to Luke chapter 18, verse 10.
is the book of Luke, chapter 18, and verse 10. Two men went up into the temple to pray. The one a Pharisee and the other a publican.
Okay.
The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself.
Okay.
God, I thank thee.
God, I thank thee.
That I am not as other men are extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican.
Look at me, God. Look at me. Look how perfect I am, God. I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm not like this other man standing to the left of me. No, God, look at me, read.
I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner.
The publican said he had so much shame about him, he wouldn't even lift his eyes to heaven because he feared to look God, to attempt to look God face to face. He put his head down. He said, God, have mercy on me. I'm wicked. I'm full of iniquities. Read.
I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other.
So the first man, he went back home justified. Look at me, look at me. So he went home justified in his own speech. But the publican, read.
For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbled himself shall be exalted.
But he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. You want another man to praise you, not you praising yourself. You want another man saying, that's a good job, man. Not you being braggadocious. Okay? Go to 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 15.
This is the book of 2 Peter, chapter 2, and verse 15. Which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bozar, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. But
read that again. My apologies. Read it again. I'm sorry.
2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 15. Which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Bozar, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass, speaking with man's voice, forbade the madness of the prophet. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with the tempest, to whom the midst of darkness is reserved forever.
So, are you all familiar with this story, Balaam? As he was on his donkey, and he was trying to go, and the donkey wouldn't move because the donkey was able to see that there was an angel there with a sword, and he kept hitting the donkey, go, go, go. And then finally, the donkey sat down and said, "Why have you hit me? You hit me these 3 times." And the donkey is communicating with him, and he's so caught up in his mess, he didn't even recognize that here's a beast having a conversation with him. The Most High allowed this beast to have a conversation with the human, right? And he says, I've been your beast all this time. When have I ever, disobeyed? He said, and so then the angel comes and reveals, and so he sees, he said, but these are fools. These are fools, okay? Well, I got distracted on the other one when we were looking at Luke 18. Go to Proverbs 27 and 2. All these are still connected. Proverbs, Luke, Peter, all these are connected. This is connected to most men will proclaim everyone is on. Go ahead.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 27 and verse 2. Let another man praise thee, and not thy own mouth.
Read it again.
Let another man praise thee, and not thy own mouth.
And not thy own mouth. Read.
A stranger, and not thy own lips.
And, okay. So that's just backing up what I had stated verbally seconds ago. Go to Jude chapter 1, verse 12.
This is the book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
These are spots in your feast of charity.
Start at verse 11.
Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Korah.
Okay, and these are three different examples in verse 11. The wicked examples of men as we read throughout the Bible. Read. Verse
These are spots in your feast of charity.
These are spots in your feast of charity. All this wickedness, when we display wickedness, we put spots in our charity. We diminish our value. We diminish our worth. Okay, read on.
When they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear. Clouds, they are without water, carried about the winds. Trees whose fruit
withereth.
Trees whose fruit withereth without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots.
Plucked up by the roots. Okay, read on.
Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
The blackness of darkness forever. That's who these individuals are. These are the individuals we don't want to become. Okay. Jump down to verse 16. These are more character traits of these individuals.
Verse 16. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lust.
These are murmurers, complainers. You're dealing with someone always murmuring, always complaining about the situation or situations. Read.
And the mouth speaketh great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage.
Okay. But right. So they'll look what Tommy doing. Look what Tommy doing. Your broke self can't do nothing like Tommy. Right? Wives can usually, they'll have a mouth on them. Wives will tend to have a mouth on them and cut you. Right? Okay. It says, proclaim everyone his own goodness, his own bounty. Remember in Proverbs 20, verse 6, most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness. Okay, so I have a question. Who do we belong to, or what belongs to us? What belongs to us? That's my question. What belongs to us? According to the Bible, what belongs to us? Because the arrogant man will say, will proclaim everyone his own goodness. That's how the arrogant man gets down. The arrogant man, the proud man, the foolish man, that's how he gets down. The murmurer, the complainer. So, what belongs to us? Go to Daniel chapter 9, verse 8. Daniel chapter 9, verse 8. Remember, the question was, what belongs to us?
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 8. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face.
What belongs to us?
Confusion of face.
Confusion of face. How did this happen? The kingdom was for us. How did we come so low, Lord? I'm confused now, Lord. You've humbled me, Lord. That's what belongs to us. Confusion of face. Read from the top.
Verse 8. O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee.
Because we have sinned against thee. That's it. Okay. Go to Psalms chapter 47, verse 9.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 47 and verse 9. The princes of the people are gathered together, even the people of the God of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong unto God.
For the shields of the earth belong unto God. So no man belongs to another man. All belong to God. All belong to God. Read on.
He is greatly exalted.
He is greatly exalted. Okay. Go to Mark chapter 9, verse 41.
This is the book of Mark, chapter 9 and verse 41. For whosoever shall give you a cup of water to drink in my name, because ye belong to Christ, verily I say unto you, he shall not lose his reward.
He shall not lose his reward. Because you belong to Christ. So if one gives you a cup of water, because you belong to Christ, then that person who gave you the cup of water, that person won't lose their name. Okay? All belong to the Most High. Go to Daniel chapter 9, verse 9.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 9. To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness.
See what belongs to God? We belong to God. What else belongs to God? Read it again.
To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgiveness.
Mercies and forgiveness. Mercies and forgiveness. And all praises for that. Read.
Though we have rebelled against him.
Though we have rebelled against him. Though we have sinned. Though we have sinned. Go to write this down. But a faithful man who can find. But a faithful man. You can just write the word, but I'm coming from Proverbs 20 and verse 6. Okay. Go to Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 1. But a faithful man.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5 and verse 1. Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now, and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man, if there be any that executed judgment, that seeketh the truth, and I will pardon him.
Jeremiah was saying this back in that day, and think about it this day. You go out and you're trying to preach this gospel to folks. You're trying to witness to folks. He says, if you can find a man, if there be any that executed judgment. Is there one that executed judgment? That's operating according to these scriptures? That seeketh the truth? Is there one that's seeking the truth, desiring the truth? And I will pardon it. I'll pardon that individual. I'll pardon that man. Okay. Go to Micah chapter 7, verse 2. Micah chapter 7, verse 2.
The book of Micah chapter 7 and verse 2. The good man is perished out of the earth, and there is none upright among men.
There is none upright among men. The good man is perished. He's gone. He's dead. Okay, read on.
They all lie in wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with a net.
With the net. This is the behavior of the men, of the people. This is the behavior. Okay, so it's hard. It's going to be hard. 2/3 of Israel, 2/3 will reject this truth. Okay. Go to Ecclesiastes, and we're going to read chapter 7, verse 18 through 29. I want to capitalize on verse 28. We're going to read Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 18 through 29. I want to capitalize on 28.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 18. It is good that thou shouldest take hold of this. Yea, also from this withdraw not thine hand. For he that feareth God shall come forth to them of them all. Wisdom strengtheneth the wise more.
So this is the thing to take hold of. Wisdom. That's the thing to take hold of. It is good that thou shouldst take hold of this. This, what? Wisdom. Read.
Wisdom strengtheneth the wise more than 10 mighty men, which are in the city.
You got Mike Tyson is a mighty man. Okay, even in his older age, the man demonstrates his effectiveness. You know, he's a skilled man. Not many people want to go up against him, but give me an ounce of wisdom, and I'll take on 10 Mike Tysons. Now, that wisdom is going to teach me and show me how to take on the Mike Tyson. It may be, I might be able to use a joke or two to keep from having to throw some blows with Mike Tyson. But the wisdom is going to show me how to take on those 10 mighty men. Might not have to fight him at all. Might show me how to bob and weave in that moment of time. Okay, read on.
For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not. Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee.
Also take no heed unto all words. That's heavy, especially for you, for the married people, because your spouse is bound to say something that will get under your skin. Read that again.
Verse 21. Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken.
That are spoken. Don't all these words that we say, Bible says, don't take heed to these things, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. Because if you take heed, the servant did curse you. The servant then cussed you out good. Then cussed you out good. And if you take heed to it, that's just what it is. And now y'all at odds. Now there's animosity between the two, and not peace between the two. Read.
Lest thou hear thy servant thirsty. Verse 22. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others.
Don't you recall? You too. You behave this way. You have been this way. Let him read for me.
Verse 23. All this have I provoked by wisdom.
All this have I proved by wisdom.
Proved by wisdom. Excuse me. All this have I proved by wisdom. I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me.
But it was far from me. The wisdom was far from me. I said I'm going to be wise, but the wisdom was far from me, because I didn't curse folks. I didn't took heed to the cursing that came against me. And I'm thinking I'm going to be wise. I didn't show myself frantic and upset, but I'm going to be wise. And it was far from me. I didn't keep my composure when it was time to keep my composure. I called you out your name instead of being peaceable. I did not. The wisdom was far from me. Read.
That which is far off and exceeding deep, who can find it out?
Who can find it out? Why was the wisdom so far when I needed it to be so close? In that moment, why was the wisdom so far when I needed it to be so close? Who can find it out? Who can find out the ways of wisdom? Read.
I applied my heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom.
I got into the scriptures. I'm looking for the answers. Maybe I'm looking to justify my actions. Maybe I'm looking to defend my actions. Maybe I'm just looking to understand, period. I search out. Read.
And the reason of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness.
Because sometimes I said what I said. I meant what I said. I meant that. It wasn't expedient. Now look at me. I lost friends because of it. I'm in the doghouse because of it. I lost my job because of it. But it sure felt good. He says, and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. I'm looking for a new job. I know that when I get this new job, I won't say that again. I won't do it again. But I had to experience it at least once. I had to get that off my chest. At least once. Read.
And I find more bitter than death the woman.
And I find more bitter. So the man bounces back. But this woman, woo, don't let the woman catch a bitter spirit on her. No. Read.
Whose heart is snares and nets.
Heart, she gonna get you. You think you gonna get the last word with her? No, you're not. No, you're not. 5 months later, she done got you. 3 years later, she done got you. You be like, that was 3 years ago. But no, she got you. Read.
And her hands as bands.
And her hands as bands. Handcuffs. Shackles. She got you good. Read.
Whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her.
Whoso pleaseth God shall escape this woman. Read.
But the sinner shall be taken by her.
But the sinner, I feel for you. She gonna take you to your grave. She gonna take you to your grave. Read.
Behold, this have I found, said the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account.
Okay.
Which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found.
But a woman have I not found. I found a man, but a woman, man, I have not found her. That that man that will do right, that woman, man. Go to Job. Go to Job, chapter 33, verse 23. This is in lieu of, in verse 28. In verse 28, he says, one man among 1,000. One man among 1,000. So we're going to Job chapter 33, verse 23, in lieu of Ecclesiastes 7:28, where it says one man. Job chapter 33, verse 23.
Book of Job, chapter
33
and verse 23.
Yes, sir.
If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, to show unto man his uprightness.
His uprightness. If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, to show unto man his uprightness. Can I find one? Can I find someone that I can go to the scripture with and reason with and help me understand? Or when I turn to my brothers to try to get understanding, they have no counsel, no biblical counsel for me. They have no, you going through in your marriage, and you want to turn to your brothers for counsel, and the brother says, man, I don't know why you still holding on to that wicked monster. You need to let that wicked woman go. Is there an interpreter? Meaning, is there one that can rightly divide the word of God to give me counsel? Man, I want to move over here. Is there one? Give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you understanding what I'm expressing? Okay. All praise. Good. Go to, he says, but I find not one. Talking about the woman. He finds not one. So write the word but down.
Good boy.
But a woman among all those have I not found. The word but. Go to 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1 through 3. 1 Kings. Solomon had a lot of wives. And not only did he have a lot of wives, he took wives which he should not have taken. And that jacked him up. Solomon is the writer, the author of Ecclesiastes. So Solomon is the one that said, but a woman among all those have I not found. Why not? Read.
And he had 700 wives, princesses.
Chapter 11, verse 1.
Oh, 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women.
See there? Strange women, meaning women of other nations. That's what the word strange means. So that was the transgression. He having multiple wives was not the transgression. Having strange wives was the transgression. Read. But we are not, especially since we're recording this, we are not advocating in this day and age multiple wives. Not advocating that. Read.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
Solomon clave unto them, those women, in love. Ooh, them women had his mind going. had his mind going. So they had him doing all kind of atrocities against the Most High God. Read on.
And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart.
And his wives turned away his heart. To the end, he said, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. I haven't found a woman that I can reason in the scripture with. Try to read. She gets emotional. She constant dissonance. Go to First Esdras. First Esdras. Yeah, y'all got books. First Esdras, chapter 4, and we're going to read 13 through 40. First Esdras, chapter 4, verse 13 through 40.
This is the book of First Ezra, chapter 4, and verse 13. Then the third, who had spoken of women and of truth, this was Zerubbabel, began to speak. O ye men, it is not the great king, nor the multitude of men, neither is it wine that excelleth. Who is it then that ruleth them, or hath the lordship over them? Are they not women?
Are they not women? Is it not women that cause men to go mad? That excel over man, causing him to go mad? Read.
Women have borne the king and all the people that bear rule by sea and land.
Women have carried the king in her womb. She brought the man forward. This is how valuable she is, brothers. The woman. Read.
Even of them came they, and they nourished them up that planted the vineyards, from whence the wine cometh. These also make garments for men. These bring glory unto men, and without women cannot men be.
And cannot men be without the woman. Right? Read on.
Yea, and if men gather together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty?
Do they not love a woman? They get all these riches just to please the woman. I'm gonna sell drugs so that I can get the woman. I'm gonna get this job so I can please the woman. I'm gonna do all these things so I can please the woman. Read.
And letting all those things go, do they not gape, and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her?
Look at her, boy. Woo, she bad. Oh man. Good Lord. Read.
And have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever?
I got $1 million. Yeah, but Jada fine. Jada so fine. She didn't like Chris Rock's joke. She gave Will, who was laughing. And Jada, congratulations on G.I. Jane. Will laughing. Jada looked at him. Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. They gate. Read that passage again.
And letting all those things go, do they not gape? And even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her? And have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever?
Then whatsoever.
A man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaveth unto his wife.
Daddy, I'm going across the ocean. What? Daddy, I gotta go across the ocean. how'd you meet this woman on TikTok? Read.
He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife, and remembered neither father, nor mother, nor country. By this also ye must know that women have dominion over you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman?
All to the woman. Woman, I'm working 15 hours a day. At least you could do. All right, let me go to bed. I got to do this again. You don't want to lose the woman. You don't want to lose her. Read.
Yeah, a man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob and to steal, to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and looketh upon a lion, and goeth in the darkness, and when he hath stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth it to his love.
He bringeth it to his love. Baby, I got this for you. Read.
Wherefore, a man loveth his wife better than father or mother. Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women.
Read that again.
Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women.
They have run out of their wits for women. Solomon went out of his wits for women. He lost his religion for those women. The man was sacrificing to false deities, false gods because of the women. He trying to please those women. Read.
And become servants for their sake. Many also have perished, have erred and sinned for women.
And have sinned for women. Read.
And now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear to touch him? Yet did I see him in Apami, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Bardicus, sitting at the right hand of the king.
Okay.
And taketh the crown from the king's head, and setting it upon her head, her own head. She also struck the king with her left hand.
She's sitting next to him. He had his crown on his head. You don't remove the crown from the king. The crown shows his position. She took the crown off his hat and put it on her own head. She took off his New York Yankees hat and put it on her own head. She took off the cowboy hat and put it on her own head. She took off the crown and put it on her own head. And then, boy, come on now. You know, I'm just playing with you, boy. Anyway, you do. Girl, you silly. you silly, girl. You silly. You gonna crown back, girl. Y'all know it's the truth. Read on.
She also struck the king with her left hand. And yet, for all this, the king gaped and gazed upon her with open mouth.
See that? You gonna stop me, girl? Boy, stop playing. Read.
If she laughed upon him, he laughed also. But if she
Chris Rock said, well, dang, I just got slapped up by Will Smith.
Okay. Will Smith just slapped the out of me.
Yeah. What did Jada do? She laughed. Will responded and said, keep my white name out your. She looked. Look at my baby. Look at my baby. And she looked back up at Chris, and he repeated it twice, and then he said, "Wow, an interesting night." And she kind of chuckled again. Right? Read on.
But if she took any displeasure at him, the king was fain to flatter, that she might be reconciled to him again.
Oh, stop, boy. I'm just playing. She sighed, she do this, she do that. He trying to make it right now, because, you know, hey, I don't want to be without tonight. Or he'll go a week, he'll go a night. And after that, he trying to make it up. Baby. Look here. Stop playing, girl. Read.
O ye men, how can it be but woman should be strong, seeing they do thus? Then the king and the princes looked one upon another. So he began to speak of the truth. O ye men, are not women strong?
Where you at?
34.
Okay, go ahead.
O ye men, are not women strong? Great is the earth, high is the heaven, swift is the sun in his course. For he hath compassed the heavens round about, and fetched his course again to his own place in one day.
Read.
Is he not great that maketh these things? Therefore great is the truth, and stronger than all things. All the earth called upon the truth.
Read.
All the earth called upon the truth, calleth upon the truth, and the heaven blesseth it. All works shake and tremble at it, and with it is no unrighteous thing. Wine is wicked.
Wine is wicked. Wine will cause you to be out your mind. Okay, yeah, it will. Read.
The king is wicked.
The king is wicked, he himself. But who can know the thoughts of a man? We said this earlier in one of the other precepts that we were looking at. Okay, read on.
Women are wicked.
Women are wicked. Read.
All the children of men are wicked.
All the children of men,
And such are all their wicked works, and there is no truth in them. In their unrighteousness also they shall perish.
In their unrighteousness also they shall perish. He says, Solomon said, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those I have not found. All are wicked. Read.
As for the truth, it endured and is always strong. It liveth and conquereth forevermore.
Forevermore. Read.
With her there is no accepting of persons or rewards.
With truth, there is no accepting of persons or rewards. With truth, with wisdom and truth, there is no accepting of persons or reward. When she slapped you, you like, look here. When she took the crown off your head, you like, look here. My doggone crown back. I'm playing with you. There is no accepting of persons or rewards. Read.
But she doeth the things that are just, and refraineth from all unjust and wicked things. And all men do well like of her works. Neither in her judgment is any unrighteousness. And she is the strength, kingdom, power, and majesty of all ages. Blessed be the God of truth.
Blessed be the God of truth. Okay. Go to Sirach, chapter 9. We're going to start at verse 1.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 9 and verse 1. Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself.
And teach her not an evil lesson against thyself. Right? How does that happen? Who can explain that passage? Who can explain that passage? Brother Marquise, can you explain it?
What throws me off is against thyself.
Okay. Be not jealous over the wife of thy bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against thyself. Right? You get upset with your wife and you curse her out. You cuss her out good. You taught her an evil lesson. Now she see you in another light. You cheat towards your wife. You teach an evil lesson against yourself. Okay? So when you behave unrighteous towards your wife, you're teaching her how to behave unrighteous towards you. You behave unrighteously towards her, you are, by virtue, teaching her how to be unrighteous towards you. Okay? Read on.
Give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance.
Give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance. You know, give me my crown back. Let me take my crown off my head. You maintain your position, your authority. Don't give your substance over to her. And what's crazy is that no, keep on going, keep on reading.
Meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares.
Now you have a baby with the hoe. You having a child with the hoe. Not with a righteous woman, because already Solomon told you, finding that righteous woman, he said, I ain't found one. Looking for that righteous woman, I ain't found one. So I'm looking to find a righteous woman. I give up on looking for a righteous woman, and I just take the first thing passing my way, this hoe, and get her pregnant. So her mind is so far from trying to be righteous because you gave up on looking for a righteous woman. You just went for anything. She gonna do you in. Child support. You can't see the baby. She's gonna pollute the baby's mind with wickedness. Read.
Use not much the company of a woman that is a singer.
That is, she talk good, boy. She make it sound good. Read.
Lest thou be taken with her attempts. Gaze not on a maid, that thou fall not by those things that are precious in her.
That are precious in her. What's precious in her? The thing that you seeking after. Every man is seeking after with a woman. So don't gaze upon her.
Her mind.
Right. Read.
Give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance.
That thou lose not thine inheritance. He's repeating himself. Hold the thought right there. This just came to me. We stand right there. We stand right there. Go to Proverbs. Show you how you lose your inheritance. Go to Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 15.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 5 and verse 15. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well.
Read.
Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets.
Okay.
Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee.
And not strangers with thee. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, meaning enjoy your wife. Enjoy your wife. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad. Produce offspring with your wife. Produce offspring with your wife. Read on. 17.
Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee.
And not strangers with thee. Now they off. Now they're with her family, because y'all not together. They with the other men in her life. The other men in her life is putting the thoughts, training up your child, your seed. Okay, read on.
Let thy fountain be blessed,
Mm-hmm.
and rejoice with the wife of thy youth.
Read.
Let her be as the loving hen and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love.
Read.
And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord.
Okay, that's all I want. So what I wanted to show you is those children, they're taken from you. You gave your strength to strangers. In connection, here we are reading Sirach, chapter 9, and we were at verse 6.
Verse 6, book of Sirach, chapter 9 and verse 6. Give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance.
So we know what the inheritance is. Okay, read.
Look not round about thee in the streets of the city, neither wander thou in the solitary places thereof. Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty.
And look not upon another's beauty, another man's beauty. She belongs to someone else. What you gazing at her for? Don't stare at her. Read.
For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman. For herewith love is kindled as a fire.
Love, so you staring at this woman constantly. Now you got thoughts. You got perverted thoughts in your mind for this woman who belongs to another man. So don't stare at her. Don't stare at her. Okay. All right. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 7.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 7. The just man walketh in his integrity.
The just man walketh in his integrity. Let's look up the word integrity. Let's look up the word integrity. Read that.
Integrity, adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, honesty.
Honesty. Okay. That one's good enough. Number one. And we need to go any further than definition number one. Adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, honesty. Are you a man of integrity? Are you an honest man? Are you a man of moral character? Okay. Integrity. I'm going to take this off the board. The reason I take this off the board because otherwise it causes a poor recording. Okay. So write this down. The just man. The just man. The just man. Go to Proverbs chapter 14, verse 2.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse 2. He that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord, but he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him.
He despises the Lord. He despises. Man, I don't want to hear that. You try to give godly counsel, that's going to be dismissed. Go to Proverbs chapter 19, verse 1.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 1. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool.
And is a fool. Better is a poor man. You don't have no wealth, no riches. So the Bible says this person is better than a man that is perverse in his lips. This man is a fool. You got all this money, you're a fool. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 12. First, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 12.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 12. For our rejoicing is this, the testimony of our conscience, that in simplicity and godly sincerity, not with fleshly wisdom, but by the grace of God, we have had our conversation in the world, and more abundantly to you.
Okay, this is our rejoicing. This is where our integrity lies. Not in the wealth and riches, not the get rich quick schemes, and I'm gonna get over on you schemes and tactics. Read it one more time.
For our rejoicing is this, the testimony of our conscience, that in simplicity and godly sincerity, not with fleshly wisdom, but by the grace of God, we have had our conversation in the world, and more abundantly to you.
Okay, the testimony of our conscience. My mind is pure. I know that I am walking. When I look at my actions, I look at the scripture, my actions and the scripture are in agreement one with another. Okay? Write this down. His children are blessed. His children are blessed. Go to Acts chapter 2, verse 39.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 2 and verse 39. For the promise is unto you, and to your children, and to all that are afar off, even as many as the Lord our God shall call. And with many other words did he testify.
I just want 39. Okay. For the promise is unto you, and to your children, and to all that are far off, even as many as the Lord our God shall call. Okay, so we're keeping the commandments. We're teaching our children to keep the commandments. The promise is unto us. The promise is unto us and the children that come after us. Okay, go to Psalms 115, verse 14 and 15. Psalms 115, verse 14 and 15.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 115 and verse 14. The Lord shall increase you more and more, you and your children.
You and your children. So here's a word of promise. Here is another word of promise unto us. Okay? It's conditional, but it's a word of promise. Go to Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 25.
This is the book of Ezekiel. What?
Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 25.
Oh, This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37 and verse 25. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children, forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever.
And there shall be their prince forever in the land. Another scripture of promise. Again, it's conditional, but it's a scripture of promise. Okay. Go to Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. Joel. Chapter 2, verse 28. Joel.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh.
Upon all flesh. Read.
And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
And your sons and your daughters. I came here, I wanted to come here because we spend so much time showing these scriptures against the women. So I want to show another contrasting perspective on women. Okay, your sons and your daughters. Read it again.
And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions.
Now, what is one manner in which the women might prophesy, the daughters might prophesy, you ask? Let me show you. I'm glad you asked. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 14. Mm-hmm.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. Now this we can't stop right here and think, because Christian church will cause us to think that because the wife is quote unquote saved, the husband by virtue is quote unquote saved. That's not what this passage is saying. Right. What this passage is letting us know, she came into the understanding. She was the one watching the videos. He would come home from his electrical job late at night every day. You ain't cooked me no food. She watching videos. I'm hungry. She watching videos. And so she starts telling him, baby, I'm watching this video. You got to watch this video. And so through her, he comes into the knowledge and understanding. Read it from the top.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband.
So just vice versa. Read.
Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy.
Else, because you got one believing, you got one not believing, guess what? That child is unclean. You got this child goes with the mama, keeping Christmas. You got the child go with the daddy, keeping feast of dedication. And the two just don't mix. The child all confused. Okay? So here is a biblical example of how the daughters and your sons and daughters will prophesy. Okay? Go to Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 8.
This This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 8. A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes.
A king that sitteth in the throne of his judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes. Let's look at some examples of this. Okay, go to First Maccabees, chapter 2. First Maccabees, chapter 2. We're going to read verse 19 through 30.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, and verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the rebellion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments.
So this is Mattathias replying. He says, listen, I don't care that all the nations give consent to y'all. We ain't doing it. Read.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
That was the attitude of Mattathias. Mattathias was going to stand firm and strong for the covenant, for the righteousness of the law. Read.
God forbid that we forsake the law and the ordinances.
That we should forsake the law and the ordinances. Now, read.
We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
Read.
Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin, which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment.
Read.
Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
So as Mattathias was speaking to the men that came against him, right, to the other nation that came against him, as he was speaking, here come one of his the children of Israel, who is profaning the altar. Mattathias, in his zeal, he said, "How dare you, Negro!" Ka-cha! And killed. So you got to imagine, here is this brother right here, which is of another nation, saying, Mattathias, you got to go and get away. Come on over. Mattathias says, listen, I don't care about all those nations that gave way to y'all. As for me and my sons, we ain't giving way to jack. We gonna keep the commandments. That's what we gonna do. And as this discourse was taking place, in comes this brother, which is a fellow Israelite. But this Israelite bugged out his mind. He goes and he's doing the things that are contrary. Mattathias sees it. Negro, no, you don't. Good. Got him. Read on.
Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zomri, the son of Salom.
And
Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city.
He left everything. He had his house in Hazelwood. He left it. He didn't kill the man. He left and fled into the wilderness. And everyone that felt like he felt, they ran into the wilderness with him. I say, we gonna join with you. So he left the toaster, he left the couch, he left the pillowcase, he left all that and went into the wilderness. He got out of Dodge. Keep on reading.
Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children, and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them.
So they, all the folks that believed in Mattathias' approach, they said, we're going to follow this dude. This dude is behaving like a king. King that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eye. So they went, they followed Mattathias. Go to 1 Maccabees chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 26. Another case study.
Again, please.
1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 1 through 26.
The book of Maccabees, 1 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. Then his son Judas.
Stop. Judas is Mattathias' son. And Mattathias had given command and told his sons, he said, let Judas be your captain, be the captain among you guys. Okay, read.
Then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him.
Mattathias died. As you read out chapter 2, Mattathias dies. Read.
And all his brethren helped him, and so did all that held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel. So he gat his people great honor, and put on a breastplate as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him. And he made battles, protecting the host with his sword. In his act, he was like a lion, and like a lion's whelp, roaring for his prey. For he pursued the wicked, and sought them out, and burned up those that vexed his people. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him.
Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him. This would be they of the children of Israel. This would also be they of the other nations. So who is this man, Judas Maccabeus? The heck? Read.
And all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand. He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob glad with his acts, and his memorial is blessed forever. Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel, so that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth, and he received unto him such as were ready to perish. Then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together, and the great host out of Samaria, to fight against Israel. Which thing, when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him, and so he smote him and slew him. Many also fell down slain, and the rest fled. Wherefore Judas took the spoils, and Apollonius' sword also, and wherewith he fought all his life long.
And therewith he fought all his life long. Go ahead.
Now when Saran, a prince of the army of Syria, heard say that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of faithful to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will fight with Judas and them that are with him, who despise the king's commandment. So he made him ready to go up, and there with him a mighty host of the ungodly to help him, and to be avenged of the children of Israel. And when he came near to the going up of Beth-horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company.
Okay, with a small company. Judas went forth with a small company. Read.
Who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, who shall we be able, being so few, to fight against the great multitude, to fight against so great a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day? Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few, and with the God of heaven it is all one.
Judas told his small group, he said, listen, don't you dare give way to such thoughts. God will strengthen you. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. And they trusted. Read on.
For the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but strength cometh from heaven. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, and our wives and children, and to spoil us.
He said they're coming in wickedness. They're coming in wickedness to take us out, take our children out, take our wives out. He said, don't you dare give way to these feeble thoughts in your mind. So they strengthen themselves. Read.
But we fight for our lives and our laws. Wherefore the Lord himself will overthrow them before our face. And as for you, be not afraid of them.
Be not afraid of them. Read.
Now as soon as he had left off speaking, he leapt suddenly upon them. And so Saran and his hosts was overthrown before him.
See, they kicked butt. They kicked butt. Read on. Judas and his small band kicked butt. Read.
And they pursued them from the going down of Beth Horon unto the plain, where were slain about 800 men of them. And the residue fled into the land of the Philistines. Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren.
Then began the fear of Judas. Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren. Read.
And an exceeding great dread to fall upon the nations round about them, insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judas.
And all nations talked of the battles of Judas. Right? Go back to Proverbs 20 and verse 8.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 8. A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes.
There you go. All of them was talking about Judas. So what kind of men are we going to be? Are we going to be like Judas Maccabeus?
We're going to be like Maccabeus.
Okay. Go to Proverbs chapter 20, verse 9.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 9. Who can say, I have made my heart clean? I am pure from my sin.
Who can say? Who can say? Okay. Go to 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 46.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8 and verse 46. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy.
For there is no man that sinneth not. Every last one of us is guilty of sin at some point. At some point. Okay? And the deal is you don't have to keep rocking in sin, but at some point, every one of us is guilty of sin. Read.
And deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near.
Go to, that's it. Go to Job chapter 15, verse 14.
Job
chapter 15, verse 14.
This is the book of Job, chapter 15 and verse 14. What is man that he should be clean?
What is man that he should be clean? Because every last one of us is guilty of a transgression. Every last one of us is guilty of iniquity. Read.
And he which is born of a woman, that he should be righteous.
Born in iniquity. Born in sin and shapen in iniquity. Okay. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4.
First Corinthians chapter 4, what?
4.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. For I know nothing by myself. Yet am I not hereby justified?
Yet am I not hereby justified? I don't know nothing on my own. I'm a sinner on my own. I'm full of iniquity on my own. Read.
But he that judges me is the Lord.
But he that judges me is the Lord. Okay. Go to 1 John chapter 3, verse 20. 1 John chapter 3, verse 20. We almost done, y'all.
I gotta listen too. So it's the book of 1 John chapter 3 and verse 20. For if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart, and knoweth all things.
And knoweth all things. Read.
Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence towards God.
Then have we confidence towards God. Okay. We have to know that our actions line up with the commandments, with the scriptures, with the ordinances and statutes. Okay. Go to Acts chapter 13, verse 39. Before you go there, go to Job 9 and 20.
This is the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 20. If I justify myself, my own mouth shall condemn me.
If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me. Read.
If I say I am perfect,
I'm perfect. Look at me. Look what I can do. Read.
It shall also prove me perverse.
Okay. Now go to Acts 13 and 39.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 39. And by him,
by Jesus Christ, read.
All that believe are justified from all things.
That's wherein we get justified. Not by our own mouth, our own saying. By Christ. By Christ. We must be humble. Okay. Romans chapter 2, verse 13.
The book of Romans. It's the book of Romans, chapter 2 and verse 13. For not the hearers of the law are justified or just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
But the doers of the law shall be justified. Okay. And we'll close out. I had two more passages. I'm looking at the time. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'll go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 10.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad.
Whether it be good or bad. Okay. And so I was going to deal with Proverbs chapter 20, verse 10. I was going to deal with Proverbs chapter 20 and 11. but maybe we'll say that for another time. Okay. With that, we will say shalom. Most High in Christ bless.